to another episode of Fire Your Boss Fridays. I'm your host, Chad Passa, and right next to me, but upstairs and around the corner, is the ever-inspiring Lisa Hart. Now, as we get ready to jump into this episode, let's echo our rebel yell. You may have heard it before: steal your life back, fire your boss, and live a life full of purpose. This isn't just some fancy slogan we made up. It's a clarion call, a directive for change, and a signal for all the go-getters, the trailblazers out there who are ready to carve their own entrepreneur path. Now, today, very specifically, we have what we call an adventurous entrepreneur, a real pathfinder, TJ Murphy. He's here with us today, and we're going to be plunging into, I think, the theme of how to be an adventurous entrepreneur, only because that's what I want to know about TJ, and maybe we'll find out more. Who knows? TJ, say hello to the audience, shed some light on how you came to be on this side of the fence as an entrepreneur and on a podcast like Fire Your Boss Fridays.
Yeah, I love the name, by the way. And it is Friday, TJIF. Excited for this conversation. So TJ Murphy, and really the epitome of adventurous entrepreneur is what I'm trying to live my life. Like right now, I own a business. I live in Bend, Oregon, which is a place full of people that gravitate to the area because they love the outdoors. They thrive outside. They love blending work and life in a way where, 3 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon, you can cut out of the office and go paddleboard on the river. You can go shred the trails on your mountain bike. You can head up to Mount Bachelor when it's ski season and go get some laps in. And for me, that's really what my goals are in life and in business, to be able to create that flexibility, to be able to create that environment for not only myself, but my team and my family to be able to do the things that we love most with the people that we care about most. And so trying to design my business around having that freedom and flexibility is kind of my main KPI. I'm a data guy because I'm in marketing. So throw some words KPIs like that at you, but happy to dive into how we got here in my story.
Yeah, cool, man. I love the idea that you said the words that really jumped out at me was like constructing, which kind of implies, TJ, that you're kind of in control here. You've already kind of stole your life back, right? And you're kind of the one navigating now, right? And that's sort of one of our principles. So I think that's really, really cool. And when we certainly align on that level. And I like how you also mentioned future tense. Like you have this vision, and so you're kind of orchestrating everything to achieve an even bigger goal than what you have now, even though you're probably completely satisfied with the results at this point. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, I mean, life is good right now. There's always seasons of, more challenging times and adversity than others, but certainly have that flexibility. And I like how you said it. I mean, for me, if you're not designing your life, if you're not designing how you want your business to function, then somebody else is doing it for you. Somebody else is designing that, whether it's your clients, or if you're, still on the 9 to 5, your boss and your team are going to be dictating those terms. So if you want to break out of that mold, you really have to see the vision of what you want. Like, do you want to be able to work less hours? Do you want to be able to cut out of work on a Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. to go do the things that you love to do? And when you have that idea, you have that vision, then it's a lot easier to say, okay, these are the steps I need to take to be able to structure my schedule, to structure my time, structure my business in order to achieve those things. And of course, there's always gives and takes and sacrifice. Maybe you're not going to be able to earn as much, but if you have more time freedom, for a lot of people, myself included, that's far more valuable.
Oh yeah, it's well worth it.
Well, that's why you're doing it.
Yeah. So what were you doing before you started Hite Digital?
Yeah, so let's rewind a little bit. I had let's throw the brakes on, rewind here. I had no idea I was going to be heading down this entrepreneurial path. I went to the University of Oregon. I got a business degree. The idea of starting a business was kind of there at that point, but I had no clue what I wanted to do when I got out of college. So I was one term behind my girlfriend, now wife, and she moved down to the Bay Area. She got a job working for a startup down there. And so I said, well, that's where I'm heading. Following the love of my life, I'll go down there. I'll figure it out. I thought I was going to be a marketing consultant. I wanted to go down to the city, work for a big marketing consulting firm and really start dipping into the corporate world and gaining skills and experience that would lead me to wherever I was going to go next. But quickly learned that with a degree, no real marketing experience, no consulting experience, nobody was going to hire me at one of those big firms. So after hitting the streets with
Wait a minute.
resume,
You left out charm. I mean, technically, I mean, you can get a long way on
you
that, right? I
certainly
mean,
can. You certainly can. I certainly had it at the time, and maybe a little bit more now. But I had
well, you
the
got the love of your life. You convinced her to jump on board.
I sure did, man. I sure did, and super grateful for it. But ultimately, had to reevaluate things and landed a job that actually turned out to be kind of a silver lining. I was a marketing manager for a big property management company down in Alameda, California. Well, they're a national company. I was working at one of their locations in Alameda, and it was a big outdoor shopping center, mostly small local mom and pop businesses that didn't have a clue how to use social media, how to advertise, how to drive traffic to their stores. And so I became the point person. They came to me with all of their marketing problems, and I had to quickly learn all the ins and outs of digital marketing, especially local service-based focused marketing. And it was great. I learned a lot. I built some amazing relationships, actually relationships that turned into clients later down the line, which we'll get to here in a second. But I wasn't feeling very fulfilled. I was working 50 hours a week and, working on someone else's dream. I was living in the big city, which I thought was going to be great, but I grew up in small town Oregon. I thrive outdoors. I like getting away from the crowds, and that was hard living in downtown Oakland, where we were at the time in a tiny studio. So my wife and I did some soul searching. We threw a vision board up on the wall of what we wanted to achieve in the next 5 years. And the biggest thing was travel. We wanted to go travel the world together. My wife grew up abroad. I didn't really travel much outside the States growing up, and it was always a dream of mine. So we decided right then and there that we were going to save up. We were going to quit our jobs, and we were going to go travel for a year. That was the goal at the time.
What year was this?
This was back in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, 2017. I graduated in 2016. So really worked for about 2 years in corporate America, and then threw in the towel, put our 2 weeks notice in. We bought one-way tickets to Southeast Asia, started out in Bali, Indonesia, and ultimately embarked on what ended up being about a year and a half of backpacking through mostly Asia. And during that time, I kept meeting all these people that were just sitting on the beach with their laptops or at the pool bar, wherever we were, like working on businesses or working remotely, doing the digital nomad thing. And I was curious. I had not experienced this type of
Curious
lifestyle.
or jealous?
Well, both. Definitely jealous. I couldn't be too jealous because I wasn't working at the time. I was just living it up and traveling. So life was good, but I was definitely curious. I wanted
Like,
that freedom.
This might work.
Yeah. So the seeds were planted. The seeds were definitely planted, and I started taking these people out for a beer, out for coffee, picking their brains about what they were building, what they were doing, how they got to where they were, and quickly realized that I could do this thing. I had skills. I had the ability to serve people and provide a lot of value and do it from anywhere that I was in the world. And so while we were still traveling, I started my business. Going back to that seed I planted in the conversation earlier, actually started working for some of those clients that were at the shopping center that were my tenants at the time. They needed digital marketing help. They didn't want to do it themselves. So my marketing agency was born. We picked up a few clients while we were overseas. That helped us to travel longer. And then when we came back, went all in, kind of gave myself a year to build it. I told myself, all right, I've got a couple clients. This isn't enough to live off of, but we've got this runway of time where I can either make something happen, or what I didn't want to do was go back and redo my resume and have to hit the job search all over again. But fortunately, I hustled, I grinded, I worked really hard, had a lot of great relationships that came up along the way,
that's awesome.
Been able to build an amazing thing ever since.
Yeah, so it definitely looks like it paid off.
Yeah, Yeah, hard work pays off, believe it or not.
Well, and what you focus on, because you kind of put your focus like, I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Going back to kind of designing the life that you want to live. That's what I did. I said,
Right.
I want to be able to build something where I can serve people and really make a difference no matter where I am. I didn't want to have to live in the big city. I did that. I realized that wasn't for me. I wanted to be able to live in a place like Bend, Oregon, where I currently live. That's not where I am today. I'm actually traveling. I'm in Vancouver, Washington. My wife wanted to have a little workcation and get away, so that's what we did yesterday. We drove up here and
Nice.
just having a long weekend. So
So
yeah, for me, it was deciding what I wanted, and that was to be location independent and to be able to dictate my own terms and my own schedule and the people that I worked with, and some baby steps in between, but designed a
but a
business
lot of
around that.
people do want that freedom. Ultimately, like almost everyone I talk to wants that sense of freedom with their business, even if it is a brick and mortar. They're imagining some other sense of freedom from that business, regardless. Do you think there's a tip or something specific that you could share with the listeners, that it's not easy to cross that threshold? It isn't about like literally just firing your boss and quitting your job. It doesn't magically happen that way. Do you think it takes a special type of person to like forge through on that vision? Because that vision has to be there first. We have to identify that. I know you can agree on that, TJ, but what gets you from when you officially fire your boss, right? And like gets you to that part where the freedoms, you start to taste the freedom, not just see it, but taste it, right? Because that's going to fuel you at that
Yeah,
point. Do you think there's anything you can share that's teachable? I don't even know if it's teachable,
definitely.
but maybe you can elaborate.
Well, let's see. I mean, definitely kind of tease out the teachable bits from this. But for me, in the beginning, the biggest hurdle was my ego, thinking that I could figure it out all on my own. I could learn what I needed to do. I could hustle and get it done. And that really set me back and slowed me down tremendously. It wasn't until I realized, hey, I can hire somebody to coach me on this stuff, or gosh, I can go on YouTube and learn all this stuff, but then find communities around that where people are all working towards the same thing, are sharing experiences, are asking questions, are leveraging each
Mm-hmm.
other to create that fast lane to where they want to go. If you're just doing it alone, if you don't find your tribe, if you don't find your people, not only is it going to be a lonely and less fun road, it's going to be a much slower, and in some cases you may not get to where you want to go if you don't find the people to help you get there. And that also turns into your ability to find the right people that you actually want to partner with and bring into your organization. That helps you decide who you want to be working with client wise. What I've realized, even though we serve a lot of different industries within our marketing agency, it's the type of people that really I look for as our ideal customer avatar. It's the people that are invested in serving their communities. They're invested in building something for their families. Yes, they want to grow and be financially stable, but there's more to it than that. And when you can align with the right people, with the right visions, with the right values, and the right knowledge and expertise, that's, at least for me, what I've found to really be the secret to getting ahead.
Nice. What I'm hearing then is like coaching, guidance, and community. Would that hit it, you think? Definitely on kind of what.
Coaching, guidance, and community, for sure. Those are three pillars no matter what you're doing. If you can tap into one or more of those at any given time, you should be. That's definitely how I've been able to fast track
And then I think
where
you
I'm at.
polish it off with, principles and values, right? Those are what carry you no matter what. Everything else is going to come and go, but those principles and values are going to carry you all the way to the destination. In fact, they might be the one thing
Yeah.
that drags you in across the finish line. So
Oh,
so even
100%.
though we have the trifecta there, community and guidance and mentorship or coaching, whatever, however you get that, it's the principles you live by and the people around you that really put you on the track, like the distance, take you on the distance. So Lise,
Yeah. Can I add one thing there?
fire, man, they're waiting for it.
Yeah.
TJ, if you got something, just drop it on them.
I mean, I would just say that, those three principles, they are really something that you can lean on, because as you start to have success, as you start to make more and more money, it's really easy to lose sight of that stuff, lose sight of what brought you there, what motivated you to get there in the first place. And same goes when things aren't going well. Like you are going to, if you have a business like mine, you are going to lose clients. You're going to have ups and downs, high seasons and low seasons. And if you haven't tapped into a community that's going to support you through the good and the bad, you don't have alignment on the values, and you don't have a very clear picture of what you're in it for to begin with, and have the guidance to help mentor you along, man, it's a lonely road. Entrepreneurship is a lonely journey to be on unless you have those things. And so for me, it wasn't until I realized that I needed that support system. I needed that community, and I found a tribe of people that I wanted to be with and wanted to grow with. That's when things started to click in place.
Right. And to be grateful now, you brought another one into that, just being grateful for that being there, right? And humble, right? And like you said, take that step back, and you could lose track of it. That's okay. It happens to all of us. You're going to. Don't pretend like you're somebody special.
Don't
You're
pretend.
not.
It's going to happen.
You're going to lose track of it, and you're going to think, oh, and I did all this on my own to, make that your trigger. Like, no, you did not. There's just no way to get there alone. And all the mentors that I follow have told me that over and over and over from their own experience. They've all crescendoed into the ego and crashed down, humbled themselves. And that's where the true success ultimately came, no matter what. So plus nobody really wants to work with anybody who runs the show, like from that perspective anyway. So Lisa, I know you had 3 other big questions, but that was a hot topic, TJ. I think you dropped some serious bombs. That's the core of it all right there, regardless of what you're doing. So it doesn't matter what your passion is or what business you're in, or, why you're going to fire your boss, but that's it right there, guys. So write that stuff down. Lisa, do you want to tap into that next question? Because I want to get his take on it.
Well, one of my questions is your wife. You mentioned you have a wife. So is she work remotely as well? Or how does that play in? Like if you guys do want to travel together?
Yeah, that's a great question. So she does work remotely, and going back to designing the life, that's something that we decided was important to us. We wanted to be able to live where we wanted to live, to travel, and still be able to work when we're traveling. And so when we came back from Asia, when we came back from that 1.5 years of travel, that was what she did. She helped me grow my business, but then she started looking for jobs that would allow her to be fully remote. And that was just the number one requirement. I need to be remote because I need to be moving to Bend here in a couple months. That's where we want to be. And she found a great job. She's been crushing it in her career. She just negotiated a great compensation package for the year ahead, and she's just been really lady bossing it over the last couple of years, and super proud of her for that. And because of that flexibility that she has, fist bump for sure, man. Go Allie. Because of that flexibility that she has to be remote, and the fact that my job, my business allows me to be on my computer and meet with clients no matter where I am, though we do like to go be in person and meet people no matter where they're at in the country. We can go and do something like this. Where just a week ago we said, well, let's go somewhere on Wednesday this week and just get out of town and go work, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then have a nice long weekend. So she found an Airbnb up here in Vancouver, Washington. We left with little notice, and here we are. She's working out in this beautiful yard. It's kind of like almost like a French inspired Airbnb that he's put together here, with a beautiful little river that cascades through the yard. So she's enjoying the outside. I'm in here.
I love it. I'm kind of jealous.
No, I was blown away. This Airbnb is awesome. And there's a cute little dog named Shandy who keeps knocking on the door throughout the day and coming in for pets and food. So we're living our best life. And it boils down to the fact that we decided this was what was important to us. We wanted to be able to do this type of workcation.
Right.
That's awesome.
Well, you mentioned 2 things that really jump out at me, brother. One is way back when in the beginning of the conversation, you said vision board, did you not? Is that?
Vision board.
Okay, so
vision board.
I want to come back to that, but I'm just planting the seeds like you. And then the other thing is, you went on this backpacking trip for like this 1.5 years. Those are 2 kind of tools in my book, right? So we went on a similar journey, but we weren't backpacking, but it does teach you something to live that simple, basic kind of lifestyle, and understanding that, like, the beauty in life is life. It's not the things in it. You're like, if you're there at all and alive, like this is it. This is what we're doing it for. And you need to kind of connect. And the best way to do that, it's like maybe these long backpacking trips, right? You probably connected with your wife. You guys connected with your goals and your dreams. You had time with yourself, right? Do you feel like that's a tool as just like the vision boards that you did? Tell us about
Yeah.
that.
No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. It's going to be different for everybody. I mean, some people don't like to travel, or at least
It's
for
not for
that
everyone.
long. And I mean, we were staying in hostels. We weren't like living large by any stretch. But like you said, we had all of this time to really focus in on what was important to us, what our goals were, and we weren't distracted by the stress of working 40 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
We were having new experiences. And when you put yourself into a situation where everything's new, everything's novel, you're going to have experiences that you've never had. There's going to be challenges that you've never had before.
Mm-hmm.
I think it creates this like
I was just
neuroplasticity in your
you got me
brain.
on it. I was gonna say as soon as those neural
Yeah.
pathways start to build, it like changes who you are.
It creates this environment where if you were in that point of your life like we were, where we were going to make a change, we were at this crossroads. For me, it made it very, very productive and a lot easier to, like I said, kind of meet with people and start masterminding around what I wanted to build, because
Mm-hmm.
I was in this mindset of new and growth and
Mm.
change. Every day was change. And so the idea of starting a business at that point just became it just seemed a lot easier. I was like, I can do this. Like,
Mm.
if that guy can do it, sitting here at this bar slamming beers and
Right.
making tens of thousands of dollars a day, I can certainly do something and be able to create that freedom for myself. So I think for some people, travel is a great gateway to be able to make a change
It's
in your
sort of
life.
Mr.
If
Miyagi though,
it's
right? TJ, it's like you think it's just this trip, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I got way more out of that than you didn't plan that. You didn't, we're going to go figure out our whole lives, plan our whole future. Like
no,
that's not how it kind of played out.
no, we thought we were going to go travel and then come back and get new jobs
Yeah,
and move.
right.
And that was it.
So
Yeah.
that's so cool, man. I love it. Right, you never know what's out there in the world, but exposing yourself to the new is how you create change in all levels, and no matter what,
Yeah.
your environment plays a big role. I mean, you can try and fool yourself all day long, but you stand in the middle of a Pantera concert, you're gonna have a different vibe than than standing outside of the Pantera concert.
Oh yeah, for
Well,
sure. We are products of our environment, and it doesn't have to be travel. There's lots of things that you can do to create those environments for yourself. Just doing something that's outside of the norm, that's outside of the regular day or week that you have. If you can put yourself in novel situations, I think it really does lend to being able to have that creative and more of a sponge
mm-hmm.
like brain that can absorb and take on new ideas and create new goals and ultimately help you build
Well,
a
I
new
think it
path of
also
change.
shows you too kind of what you want and don't want, right? I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
you go out and some people are like, "Oh, I just want to travel all the time," you know. And for me, that was me. But then, right now where I'm at, I'm kind of like, we traveled so much. I'm kind of like, I kind of want to stay home for a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Oh, you can get
Yeah.
burned out. I mean, after a year and a half, we were definitely ready to
Yeah.
come home and, be with our friends and have like a soft bed and, a reliable warm shower and
Right.
hot shower, all the little things. Yeah, for sure.
So another question
Home
I
sweet home,
had.
my friend. Yeah.
So you mentioned that your ultimate goal was creating a global impact, helping business owners create a happier and healthier life.
Well, she did her homework. She's going after you.
So what are some first steps or steps a business owner should take to live a happier and healthier life?
Oh, that's a great question. I think, and we do this in our discovery process whenever we're going to meet with a client. Like, we want to know what their revenue goals are and what the KPIs are and all that kind of stuff. But the most important KPI for us is, okay, well, yeah, when you hit $1 million, $10 million in revenue this year, what is that going to enable you to do? Like, what are you trying to do? What's the next step? Are you trying to exit this business and retire? Are you trying to pass on a legacy to your kids? Are you trying to hire more people and create more stability in the economy in your community? Are you just trying to be the best, to be able to provide the best service for the people that live in your neighborhood and in your town and in your community, when we understand what those goals are, it becomes like that guiding light. Okay, we're not just trying to increase revenue here. We're trying to, help this family to retire and go spend more time with their loved ones and travel, or hire more people and create more jobs in this community. That becomes a big motivator for us. And as a business owner, it's critical to have those things figured out. I know most do, but some don't. Some people, they just keep chasing another number endlessly, and
Oh
there's
yeah.
no bigger
Yep.
vision for what it means. And so having meaning, having a why behind what you're doing, and this is just becoming the theme of the episode, allows you to design the business around it. Maybe you don't want to have a huge team. Maybe you don't want to, grow something so large that it's just, weighing you down, and it's a constant fight for that freedom that you want. There's beauty in having a lean, small business that enables you to take home enough to support yourself and then some, and thrive and do the things that you love to do. So getting clear on what your why is and what your goals are, and how that impacts not just you, but the people in your life, your family, your friends, your community. That's what's important.
Sounds like it's the vehicle, right? So we just have to
Yeah.
identify to our listeners that like there isn't a one way to success, right? Everyone knows that's true. Okay, you knock on the doors in neighborhoods. You're like, if you went to the best neighborhood in your town right now, knocked on every door, the story would be different on how they became successful. It's not everyone does real estate. Everyone's in running their own business. That's just not the thing. Is you got to find and be authentic enough to and take the journey sometimes to get to that place. But remember, it's just a vehicle to get to the thing that, like TJ's saying in his discovery calls, he cares enough to find out your thing. And we do that quite often as well, because I think in the beginning, people don't, that's not the conversation they're having. But once you've gotten past the threshold of having a business that can create, some sort of life-changing results, you have to ask, well, what are the results now? I mean, what do I really want? Otherwise,
Yeah.
you're gonna die trying, right? You're just gonna turn around. You're like, this is too hard. It's not, because your goal isn't big enough, right? That's what gets you through the tough times as an entrepreneur. Your goal needs to be big enough to make it worth it. Otherwise, it's not worth it. Just go ahead and quit now. You're going to turn around. It's going to be a waste of time. It's going to be someone else's fault. Blah 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 blah. So, well played, TJ. And I love your discovery for people, because you're doing more for them than you think. Right? They don't understand but maybe some of them do. But if you identify it for them, I bet it really helps them to create that.
Oh yeah, and it's something that most haven't experienced. Like if you can verbalize what their hopes, wants, and dreams are, and then use that as like, okay, here's where you are now, here's where you want to go, and here's why, and here's what we're gonna do to get there. If you can speak it in their language and articulate what that vision is that they have, more often than not, they've never heard that. They've never heard someone
Exactly.
else say it back to them and understand just as clearly as it is in their brain what they're trying to achieve. And so from a sales perspective and a relationship building perspective, that's a tremendous asset. That's going to help you close that deal and help you be able to serve that person at the highest level when you deeply understand what it is that they're trying to achieve.
Right. Yeah. Getting in. Yeah. Because you're not their business. You need to know that, right? Because you're kind of working, for their dream too, or you're trying to get them to that place. That's your goal. You're definitely a liaison for them to attaining that. And I think that, and that's why you play that role. You're like, listen, we have to identify this.
Yeah.
There's no sense in me going forward. I couldn't take your money unless I knew why we're doing
It's
this.
our responsibility.
Yeah, that's cool. You got another one for him, Lise? We went
I
pretty
do,
heavy on that
yes.
one. That's good.
What's the biggest mistake you see business owners make when it comes to their marketing?
It's simple. It's not tracking things. So many businesses,
KPI.
we ask like, okay, like do you have analytics? Do you have a way of tracking like every lead, every customer that comes through your website or picks up the phone and dials you? Do you have a way to see where they came from? And if not, that's a big problem, because not only are we just throwing or paint up on the wall to see what sticks, we don't even know like which paint bucket it came from. So it's impossible to know where to put more time and energy if you can't see what's driving results. So that's the foundational stuff. We need to come in and set up systems, set up tools and processes to be able to track all of the different marketing. Otherwise, how can we as a marketing agency make an informed and, you know, do our due diligence to make a good recommendation about where to spend more money? Like, we know what works given specific industries, but everything's going to be different depending on that business, depending on that unique market. So marketing is all about having an assumption of what's going to work, testing it, doing A/B testing, and then coming back and looking at the data to see what actually drove results. And so our ultimate goal is to be able to implement these systems to track everything, implement the marketing strategies that we're recommending and manage those for them. And then 6 months later, be able to sit down and actually look at the numbers to see, okay, you know, from this ad campaign, here was the ROI. From the SEO work that we did, here's the ROI that you're getting. From your social media, here's the leads that came in, here's the value that that drove, here's the ROI. Now we can look at these things and make an informed decision based on how much we put in and how much we got out, where we want to reinvest and put more time and energy into.
Wow, that's great advice. I love it. I think I need to listen to a little bit myself.
That happens to us a lot. We'll have a guest. We're like, yeah, that maybe we should. Yeah. So that's
Are you
great, man.
talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, it's, you know, it is easier said than
TJ
done.
did his homework. He's
we always have, especially as a business owner, it's like we can't wear every hat. You know, that's why we seek out experts to help us. That's why we seek out agencies like ours to support us. I mean, most business owners that we talk to, they didn't get into business to be a marketing expert. They hate the marketing. Some love it and are great at it, and that's great. And they can wear that hat and put the other hats on other people's heads. But for most, the marketing hat is the most overwhelming. And so you really do need someone either on your team or in your corner that has your back, that understands your vision, understands your goals, understands the culture that you're trying to build within your team, to be able to make recommendations and implement on those recommendations to let you do what you do best, and to focus on serving your clients, your customers in the best possible way, and building a team around the values that you want to instill in your culture.
Yeah. And doing so, you're building your own goal and dream. Remember, because we were identifying the why, right? This is just the vehicle. So all the things that we're talking about in that space are important, but only important because the way you're serving your community and yourself, and your community being you, because you represent the value in your community. You're that person that brings the good, whatever, it's just a good spirit, maybe it's motivation, you know, or it's a legit service, carpentry, you know, digital marketing, whatever it is. You have to be, you know, you want to try to be the best at that, but for the long-term goal. So we haven't mentioned this, but the company you work for is Hite, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, Hite Digital.
And that's your operation, right?
Yeah, so we're actually a digital marketing franchise. So my first company that I started when we were overseas in Asia, the story we just told, I built that for, let's see, a little over 3 years. And kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, finding my tribe. My tribe is Hite. I found my people here. And so what I did is I took this business where I built, by all, you know, outside perspectives, a successful agency. I was making great money. We were serving clients, having phenomenal results, but I was burned out. I let my ego get in the way, going back again, thinking I could learn everything and do everything on my own. I didn't have the right people around me. I didn't have the right systems in place. And I was working 60, 80-hour weeks as a result. And so what Hite empowered me with is we have an amazing team that serves all of our different locations. So all of our web designers, all of our digital marketing engineers, SEO specialists, all of the services that we sell are fulfilled by one core team. And for me, that allows me to build a great team of account managers, sales and marketing representatives to help grow my business and provide the best experience for our clients, while being backed up by amazing resources, amazing people that actually are in the trenches every day, learning what's working in digital marketing, what's working in SEO, what's working in all of the different offerings that we provide our clients, and keeping an eye out for what's coming down the pipeline, because Google, Facebook, everything's always changing. And if you're not staying on top of what's working, you're not paying attention to trends, it's hard. You fall behind. And so as a small boutique agency, if you're trying to do all of that stuff yourself or just with a couple people, you may have success, but it's a lot easier when you've got a great team, a great tribe around you. And so that's what I found in Hite.
Cool, man. Well, congratulations. Fist bump. TJ finds
Oh,
it. Long journey though, bud, right? Like this is 2017 to today, and look what you've accomplished. It's amazing, man. It's really, really
I
cool.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, man. We're just getting started for sure.
All right. Look, he's unstoppable. Get out of my way.
Yes.
Going for the win. But maybe one thing you can share for anyone looking to fire their boss, right? Like that's not a rash decision. We went into this a little bit, but just for the sake of the people who legit following the, the whole vibe that you kind of jumped, you felt like it was a good vibe to be a part of. What could you say to those listeners right now to, maybe protect them from making a bad
Mhm.
decision or motivate them to take the leap? Because I think both of those need to be talked about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what worked for us is what I'll recommend. We had this, well, we did the vision board. We had this goal of going on
Okay.
a trip, and
Take note,
to
people.
do that, we knew we needed to save up a certain amount of money. And
Mm-hmm.
so we said, all right, we're going to change our lifestyle a little bit. We're going to eat out less. We're going to, go shopping less. We're going to really focus on building up our war chest to be able to do this awesome thing that we want to go do. And once we get to that point, we know we'll be able to quit these jobs, sell off our stuff, get lean, and go travel. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot easier when you have that stability, when you have that safety net to fall into. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to start a business, I mean, not everyone, but a lot of people will recommend this. So nothing novel here. It's a lot easier to leave that stability that you have with a W-2 position, a steady paycheck coming in, when you've already built something and it has momentum. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, did a little bit differently, but if I were to do it again, I would continue working, build something as your side hustle, put in the work. You're going to be working more. You got to put in 40 hours over here, and you got to come home and work on the weekends or do whatever you got to do to build your dream, to make things
Mm-hmm.
happen. But once you are able to offset the income that you make with your side hustle, that's a good time. That's a trigger point to be able to say, all right, I can quit this and go all in over here. Sure, you can burn the bridges and go down to zero
Take the
and
leap.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just do it and try to go all in when you don't have any income coming in, but you're gonna be stressed. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna
Yeah.
be really hard
100%.
to
Yeah.
build something. You need stability. You need to have your basic needs taken care of. So my
So
recommendation is don't go and fire your boss until you've got something with a little bit of momentum that can pay you. And even if you're living on top ramen for a little bit, you've at least got some money coming in.
I love it, man. So yeah, so fire your boss. So that line, what you said had a couple different points. One is that there's no wrong way to do this, guys, but depending on your stress hold, or did I even say that right?
Threshold.
Somebody
Yeah, you're
correct me here.
stressed. That is a mouthful. Stress
Stress
threshold.
threshold. TJ nails it. All right. So, but what we're talking about is that element of our rebel yell, that steal your life back, right? What that really means here, I can align with you on that, TJ, is you said, hey, do the side hustle. That's one way, okay, to eliminate that stress. Another way is to go lean, right? Which is the way you chose. And that's the way we did it too. We went lean and then we rebuilt from there, right? Because we knew, hey, if we're lean, this is the fastest way, right? We're just going to go lean, go for it, right? Make that happen. That doesn't work for everyone. If you want to do the side hustle, that's a way, or if you want to take the leap. But really, it's about making that the plan and just committing, right? Either way, whatever you do, just commit to it. And so I love that you
And you
shared
have to
that.
have a plan.
Yes.
You don't just go into something like that on just an idea or an assumption.
On
You
a
really
conversation over beer in Bali.
yeah, exactly. Do the vision board. Put it all out there. Here's the dream that I want to turn into reality, and then it's much easier once you have a clear picture and you see it every day to say, okay, these are the things that I need to check off before I can get there, before I can
Love it.
fire my boss.
Dang, and you found a woman to do it with you too. I mean, that is amazing,
Yeah.
man. So that is cool. And I got blessed as well. There she is right there. Miss Lisa Hart. Cool. So you were in, you were in Asia? Were you just in Bali? Like you packed
No,
all
we
over.
visited He's visited, I think, 15, 16 countries in 15 months, all in Asia, but we were primarily in Southeast Asia. So Indonesia, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, went to Singapore, Burma, went up to Taiwan, trekked in the Himalayas of Nepal. That's where I proposed to Allie, and she took me as her husband. Thankfully, after 14 years together, we're high school sweethearts. So she was more than ready for me to pop the question. And
yeah, she was just like,
trip, yeah, no, literally the whole trip, she was like, "Are you ever gonna ask me?" I'm like, "I'm waiting for the moment where you're gonna actually be surprised." And sure enough, at 16,000 feet or whatever we were at, I took her breath away. Literally, she was surprised. So
You got her?
That's
Surprised
awesome.
her? Nice. Cool. Yeah, I think that kind of concludes it, man. You gave us tons. You gave these listeners a ton of cool stuff. So I'm sure they're going to have some huge takeaways. We're going to give you all TJ's info for sure. And I definitely wouldn't mind, playing around with TJ again in the future.
I'm game.
So, and we're actually meeting with, I think, one of your hike coaches, Jose.
Jose Bolaños, my man.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be an incredible conversation. So I'm looking forward to tuning in for that.
Yeah, so tune in for his episode as well.
Awesome.
I was having a conversation with him, and then I saw you as a guest. I'm like, wait, hold on. How did wait, hold on.
Yeah.
And so you came to us from a different avenue than, because I was reaching out to Jose on a topic.
Okay.
We were having a conversation about it. And then, you came in through just inspired by the podcast channel. So anyway, I put it all together finally. But for a minute, I was confused what the heck was going on. Because you guys technically same operation.
Yeah, no, Jose was instrumental in my journey when I came on with Hite. So awesome guest to have on. He'll be providing a lot of value.
Right. So you heard it from TJ. If you like TJ, you're gonna love Jose, is what he's 100%. Saying. So
don't miss that.
Well, cool. Your podcast, how long have you been doing that? Because you have a thing where it says you have to apply, and like, do you have like a specific criteria? Because on your podcast, How to Be an Adventurous Entrepreneur, I noticed that some of the guests I couldn't kind of quite find the theme. Can you explain kind of what you're looking for guests on your Adventurous Entrepreneur podcast?
Yeah, 100%. So, for me, the theme of this podcast is looking at entrepreneurship for what it is. It's an adventure. It's full of risks. It's full of wrong turns, lessons learned, people that guide you along the way. It's kind of that hero's journey. You need to step into that, and you need to find the support, the heroes, mentor, Gandalf, whatever it might be along the way to help you get there. And so for me, I needed those resources. I needed a podcast that teased out lessons learned and insights from people that had gone down that path and had success. And so
do you think you learned from them too?
No, I've learned so much from my guests. Yeah. I mean, that's benefit number one. I mean, when you start a podcast, if you're in it to just, get 1 million downloads, that's going to be a hard battle to get there, and you're probably going to get burned out. So for me, my goal is I want to learn as much as I can through these conversations. I want to get better at interviewing, better at just having these types of conversations, and through that provide value to my community, my community online, and new people that find us, and learn a lot in the process. And so with those goals in mind, it's been a lot easier to week in and week out have these conversations, put in the work to find guests, do the interview, have the team work on the production, review everything. And so we look for people that are kind of like me. You took a risk on yourself. You identify as an adventurous entrepreneur. You love business, but you love what it allows you to do, the freedom that it really is a vehicle for. So talking life, talking how we can blend business and the things that we enjoy most, so that we can do those things with the people that we care about most, first and foremost.
I like how you got the double meaning there. The adventure is what life that awaits you once you've taken that vehicle to your why, right? But also the adventure of being an entrepreneur. This is it is its own adventure within itself, right? So I love the two kind of themes that you follow there on that podcast. So I hope to squeeze in some time. I'm going to try and get at least 2 or 3 episodes. Do you have some that you would recommend I get my ears on? Because I'd like to play around with that.
Yeah, I did a great interview with Jared Hanning, who actually I hired as a coach shortly after that to help with my mindset. And
Beautiful.
he drops tons of value. Check out that episode. Another great one with Eric Berglund, where we talked about how to really step into a leadership role. And when you're managing people, accountability is one of the hardest things that you do have to face and learn how to do as a manager. So he dives in. He's an expert when it comes to this stuff. He's really cracked the code. Talks all about how to lead teams effectively and create a culture of accountability in your organization.
Cool. Yeah, that's good stuff. Heavy stuff too. I mean, real stuff. This is business stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it
And
gets
a lot of
real
fun
out.
adventures teased in there. You know, we talk tactical and then we get into what drives us outside of business as well and how those blend together.
Cool. Well, the name's super duper cool, man. How to Be an Adventurous Entrepreneur podcast by TJ Murphy. He's the host. And as you can hear, he's got a ton of cool guests. So super huge thanks for joining us, being a part of this, Fire Your Boss Fridays podcast. I know we're hoping to get this jam out and keep this vibe flying. So until next time, stay true to your rebel spirit, guys. Seek your truth. Let's let TJ's words help you forge your own path to greatness. Together, we'll change the world, people. One rebellious act of service at a time. Identify your why
Let's go.
and your tribe.